Well, it's been 10 years, a full decade since the release of the 2016 Ghostbusters, aka Ghostbusters Answer the Call, aka Ghostbusters, you know, the one with the women. We've had 10 years of YouTubers just really hating on this movie for less than valid reasons, in my opinion, and I thought it was time for me to revisit this movie for this channel and watch it from the point of view of a working writer in Hollywood. I'm Trader Bubba, writer-producer, and this is Bubba Breaks Sci-Fi.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
So say we all.
Engage.
Now, I'm not going to go into all the hate that's been said about this movie. I'm not going to tell you too much why it doesn't work, because truth be told, I actually enjoy this movie. I'm not going to sit here and over compare it to the original, except to say this. If we lived in an alternate universe where the original movie never happened and this was the original movie, I think it would have done just fine. I think we would have had some sequels, but it didn't play out that way, and that's not the world we live in. In fact, if you're a huge fan of Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I am, you owe this movie a thank you, because we never would have gotten this without Ghostbusters 2016, and that is a fact. Strictly from a writer's perspective, it's actually a fun movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think that's part of the problem with a lot of the fans is, obviously, this is based on source material, a 1984 original movie, and a 1990 sequel, Ghostbusters 2. Obviously, this is based on an existing franchise, and if you know anything about the creation of the original Ghostbusters, is they took that movie seriously. It's funny because that movie, the original Ghostbusters, is listed as a comedy, right? You got to label it, you got to market it, and you got to put it in a box, and they put it in the comedy box. One of the great things about 80s movies is they could be a little bit of everything. Ghostbusters, what is it? Is it a sci-fi movie? Is it a comedy? Is it a spooky movie? It's got a little bit of everything, and that's what makes it work. Not to mention the fact that, obviously, Ghostbusters was originally created by Dan Aykroyd, who's a huge believer in the occult, and the science behind the technology of the Ghostbusters is actually based somewhat on pseudoscience. It's kind of crazy when you really do the deep dive into it. So there was a lot of thought behind it before turning the Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, into what we now know and love. The other problem, too, with the original Ghostbusters is it's such an 80s movie. It's saying, okay, ghosts are real. Here's the established rules of the universe, which again is the science aspect of it. In the new movie, in this 2016 reboot, it faces a lot of the issues where I can see where a lot of people would feel like it doesn't take the source material seriously enough. It leans too much into the comedy, and I get that. And I don't disagree with it. I guess I just don't have as big a problem with it. I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up with the cartoon show. I had a number of the action figures and the toys, and I loved Ghostbusters. I really did. But I don't have a problem with somebody taking an old idea and doing a new spin on it. It's new. It's refreshing. If you want to compare reboots, because reboots are annoying, look at the 2016 Ghostbusters and then Star Wars The Force Awakens. Two reboots, right, with female leads, and compare them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think Ghostbusters 2016 is technically a better movie. The characters are all original. They didn't just rehash the Gozer thing, although there is an end credit scene, which I did not know until rewatching the movie last night for this YouTube channel, that they actually did put a Gozer teaser at the end of the 2016 movie. But it's all new characters, a whole new story, a whole new bad guy, everything. Compared to Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is not technically a reboot, but a sequel, they should have just called that Star Wars Another New Hope. The first act of Ghostbusters 2016, it's perfect. The opening scene is the perfect mix of spooky and comedy. The opening scene is one of the best parts of the movie. We're then introduced to Kristen Wiig's character, and I think part of the problem with this movie is there's no clear definition of the role for the characters. For example, in the original Ghostbusters, Egon was the scientist. He developed the technology. Ray was the occult believer. He was the one that really believed in all the lore. He knew all the lore, right, behind all these different ghosts and bad guys. Egon did too, but his focus was more the science, where Ray's focus was on the occult, but Ray also understood the science. You then had Peter Venkman, who was your 1980s business con man. It was Peter's idea to turn it into a business in order to make money because it's the 80s and that's what everything was about in the 80s. You then have Winston, who was Joe Everyman, to come in and give the Ghostbusters somebody to talk to so the audience could understand what was going on. Pure and simple. This one doesn't quite follow the 2016 Ghostbusters doesn't quite follow that as well. You've got Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig, and they're both sort of Egon, and they're both quirky and funny in two similar ways. So those characters are somewhat interchangeable. Kate McKinnon is sort of the technology, whiz in this one, and I got to be honest, she really steals the movie. I think if Kate McKinnon wasn't in this movie and they had gotten anyone else in there to play this, I would not enjoy the movie as much as I do. Just she steals every scene she's in. Then you have Leslie Jones, who is basically the Winston in this one. And I'm not going to get into the, gender swap. I'm not going to get into the racial stuff with, Leslie Jones again, the one person that's not a scientist is a black person, blah, blah, blah. I think with the Winston / Leslie Jones character, those are valid points, and I don't discredit those at all. I think the movie's got bigger problems and also bigger successes to kind of focus on rather than that. Chris Hemsworth as the dumb blonde secretary, the gender swapping of the dumb blonde secretary, that bit gets old pretty fast. I don't hate it. I don't have anything against it. I'm just saying that character and shtick gets old really fast because he's also cartoonishly dumb. And this is where you start running into the problems. So one of the things I cover on this channel is I cover structure and tone and then overall writing. Structure of the script, meaning your first act, second act, leading into your third act. Your first act should just introduce the characters, the world, and then there's some sort of thing that kicks off the plot. And this is where you get rising conflict to your third act, which is your big finale, and then resolution in the third act. This script does that perfectly. The pacing, the structure, spot on, very professionally done. The tone of the movie is a little bit all over the place. The spooky stuff works very well. The action, especially that at the end with the big ghost fighting scenes, which I'm showing clips from here, it's awesome. I love it. And the problem is not all the comedy lands. And there are moments in the film where you can take the moment to be serious, but they're still injecting comedy. Some of it lands, some of it doesn't. And I think that's where the feeling of not taking the source material serious enough comes into play, not just allowing the moments. Because in the original Ghostbusters, the comedy was there, but when it was time to be an adventure film, it was an adventure film. When it was time to be a sci-fi film, it was a sci-fi film. Like they knew when to pull the comedy back and when to throw it in. It was just better implemented. With Ghostbusters 2016, the comedy is like an overpowering flavor in a dish that should be consistent of many flavors, if that makes sense. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from the film is, if I needed a metaphor to describe this film, it would be this scene right here with Melissa McCarthy swing and a miss, So, but I like this film. It's lighthearted. It's fun. There are moments in the film that are just, really well done. The opening is amazing. The grand finale stuff is really amazing. The ghosts I love the look of the ghosts in this movie. A lot of the comedy lands for me. If the original movie didn't exist and this was the first Ghostbusters movie we ever saw, I think we'd like it more. And it's kind of sad because it's not a bad. I would totally be fine in a world where we got both Ghostbusters 2016 and Afterlife, and they both got their own trilogies. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'll make a video on Ghostbusters Afterlife someday. I love that movie. I think it's a great continuation I think it honors the original movie while still pushing it forward. The kids are great in that movie. It's family safe, but still fun and entertaining. It does rehash Ghostbusters a little bit. Obviously, the bad guy's the same from the original. You know, but they made it work a lot better than Star Wars Force Awakens did. So that's my honest take on Ghostbusters 2016. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are you able to be objective, or do you just hate it because there's women in it? And, you know, if that's your attitude, then it makes me sad, because they're just movies, guys. You know, if a new movie or a reboot comes out and it sucks, when that happens a lot, it doesn't remove the fact that the originals are still there for you to enjoy. I'm Trader Bubba. Don't forget to like, subscribe, it really helps this channel grow, but don't go away just yet, because I got more sci-fi videos popping up right here, and these are gonna make you feel things down below.